In the 6th bike service school lesson, a quick new studio tour, then we start the stopwatch and make full bike service for my customer, checking earned money. I'll also show you some screw that no one talks about, and there will be some unforeseen problems. And today just one testing question for you, my students. Which operation have I done twice, needlessly? Let's go. Yeah! Before we get to that though, a super short explanation of my absence, the longest absence on my YouTube channel. This is the studio, this is new training and workshop area. This, still without the stairs, is the podcast studio. This is Wobbus. This is not my cat. And that was this part. And here, this is the living area, just like this. And there, here we've got more training space. And it was there. But there's one more house. And here is room number 1, number 2, number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I only showed you the rooms which we're already working on. All right, let's take these disposable gloves, which I use for 2 weeks. And here's the bike we're gonna service. I already did the short with the bike check for you, so now just all the things we need to fix. Dry and very not smooth fork, dry and loud headset, almost no brakes. The derailleur's not reacting to shifting, so it needs new cables and housings. I need to clean the drivetrain and loop the chain. We need to true the rear wheel and the front wheel, and they have the same exact problem. And the reason for the wheels being untrue is, stupid. And we've got the tire damaged, as you can see. So the bike wobbles beautifully on the asphalt. And so this is the list of the things that we need to fix on the bike, and the client has accepted the financial challenge. In order to be quick, you want to be really smart in doing those in the right order. For example, once I remove the tire from the rear wheel, I will have nice access to its rim, and so these will be done one after another. And then when I remove the fork to do a full overhaul, I will service the headset. So the 6th and 7th will also be done like in a row, and that's pretty much it. Let's see how much time it will take. I'm gonna start the stopwatch and I will pause it only when I want to explain something to you extra. But now, without moving the camera around, I'm gonna start with the rear tire. Go. Tip number 1. Repeat the most common and the cheapest bike service operations and you will become very quick in them, making a lot of money. We've got 2 minutes 16 seconds, the tire is removed and I'm ready for truing the wheel and cleaning the cassette. Tip number 2. Convince your customer that paying for cleaning and lubing the drivetrain, if they don't want to do it themselves, really pays off. It will prolong the lifespan of the parts. This is a very simple way. It's a zip tie that you can open and lock multiple times. And look at the wheel. You know where it moves? It moves where this reflective thing is. It's exactly the same at the front. Which means that when you put this thing in between the spokes and you push it too far out, it will make tension on this spoke and 2 spokes on the other side, which means the wheel will go right here, where the 2 spokes have high tension. So what we can do, we can lower the thing, not so that it will, so not so much, but just so that it won't be squeeze in between the spokes too much. And it already should be better. Of course it is. And now I'm gonna make it perfect. We've got the rear wheel. Almost perfect. And remember, this is a good moment to check whether this tape covers all the holes for the nipples. Tip number 3. You don't always have to remove the tire from the wheel nor use the truing stand for some easy truing. Oh, it's a quarter. That's perfect. How it works? Let's get back to the rear tire. Boom. I'm gonna check whether the tire is true. And this gives us this and the wheel truing and the part of drivetrain clean. In just 19 minutes, and it's gonna get even more exciting. That's a good moment to finish drivetrain clean and look, because I wanna have all these parts clean when I try shifting when replacing the cables. Ooh.
Tip number 4. Use a pick, a hard brush and a degreaser in order to clean the drivetrain much quicker.
Yeah, it was dirty. It is so dirty here that I'm gonna be much quicker with my steam cleaner. Looks good. Half an hour.
Okay students, let's remind ourselves lesson number 2. After degreasing the chain, you don't flush it with the oil, but let the links to take the drops of the oil from the applicator. Applicator? Applicator? How do you pronounce that?
Okay. And so we've made another $20. And now let's go for some easy thing, brake adjustment. And before we start the stopwatch, I'm gonna explain. These levers go all the way to the handlebars, which mean the cables need some adjustment, but we have one piston brake. That means only the left pad, the outer one, is moving. This one on the inner side is fixed. You can see even the rotor being pushed towards the inner one. And most of the owners of these brakes don't know they need to readjust the inner pad regularly as they wear down. Boom. This is the adjustment screw which will push our pad towards the rotor. It took me 90 seconds and both brakes are done. But come on, I'm not gonna do this for my customer. I see that both brakes are not perfectly tuned, so I'm gonna also readjust the whole brake. And this brake took me more time than I wanted to spend on it because the right pad has some play and it's quite difficult to adjust perfectly. But now I'm just gonna through the bent rotor and it's gonna be cool. It's time for the rear. Listen to this. Bent rotor. Time, start. Now this is perfect. As for Shimano turning with so little precision with all those parts, it's perfect. Another $40 earned.
A song riddle.
I was a deer in the lights of a speeding car. And now I can see the cable and housings replacements. First, just look at the bike. Do you agree with somebody who's been putting those housings on the bike previously? The length, my dears. Is it too short? Is it too long? Too long means too flexible while braking and shifting. Here we're talking about shifting cables. Or too short. When you turn the handlebars, they are too tight around the head tube. No, they aren't. We have nice angles here. So, boom. Ooh, I can hear why it was so bad. The rear one is done.
A bad design of this bike makes the water drip into their housings. That's why I put quite a lot of lube into them.
Yes, you're right, my friends. It all looks great on the board, but what about all the unseen situations, issues in the workshop that we have to come up every week? Here we have one. These two screws are stuck and I need to use Dremel in order to remove them. And yes, the customer will have to pay for extra time spent on this. The question is, how much time? Gotcha. Gotcha. Stop. This is how it works now.
Now everything clicks beautifully and the customer will be happy about that. Now what did I mean about the bad design of the housings? You can see under the bottom bracket that the housing has the opening facing upwards. That's why the water will get into them. And they need more loop and they need stainless steel cables.
Really bad design of the housings. That's why I put so much oil or loop into the cables, housings, and so we've made 2 by 25 bucks. What's left is the headset and the fork.
And we've got an hour and 24 minutes so far.
Go. Before disassembling the headset or the fork, I want to have everything around clean. This was the last moment, the last call for the headset to be done. It won't be as new anymore because there is rust on the upper and the lower bearing right here, but it's very good that we will do it. This headset is very weird. After removing this clip, all the balls will just fall out. And since there was no grease at all, I was finding them right there. But neodymium magnet, this is must have for your workshop. Anyways, I haven't lost any of those. Lower bearing 444 plus 1, upper bearing 4x4 plus 1. Let's clean it.
Tip number 5. The non-integrated headset takes more time to service and should be a little bit more expensive than the integrated one. Here I'm doing ball by ball.
And this is genius design. There's a cap right here on the lower bearing, which of course allow the water to come into it, but won't let the water out, which means the lower bearing will get rusty very quickly. Genius. It's time for the fork. Done.
The suspension fork is generally made of the lower legs or the stanchions, the upper legs, the crown, the steering tube and what's inside the fork. This is the full service, which means I'm doing the lowers and the uppers. And for this video I've been using the price list which are available online from the American Bike Mechanics.
And done. In my opinion, this is a little bit too much for such a cheap fork. Should be maybe 50 bucks for the full overhaul, so uppers and lowers. Just removing the grease. I will of course inform the customer that during those first 2 or 3 rides the grease might come out from the headset and the fork. Do you wonder what the time is? The brakes nice and stiff, and the fork. Oh yeah! It happens often that I forget to put back the things I take off. And with cleaning my place, we've got 2 hours and 20 minutes. 253 bucks divided by 140 minutes multiplied by 60 minutes, that's $108 per hour. Actually, 253 bucks is 4 times more than in Poland, but that's what I found online. Now, that's a lot of money. Can we really make that much in the US? Because I was taking the price list of different workshops in the US that are available online. Yes, we can make that much money because we would be much quicker doing all those things in a real workshop. This is not a real workshop. This is kind of a studio, so I don't have all the tools at hand. It takes time for me to move from chewing the wheel to doing the fork, right? So it takes more time, and yes, I was moving the camera around. Sometimes I wouldn't stop my stopwatch. So yes, you can make that much money. What's important here? Prepare your place. Have everything efficient in your place, and also have all those things you are doing in a certain bike in the right order. And the question for this lesson is just one. Which thing have I done twice because of bad planning? Thanks for watching. See you guys. Gleba. Gleba. Tak jest. Gleba musi być. Trzeba dawać z banicą.